So, what are the actions that lead to thriving? I'm going to tell you a little story about my mom. Couple, maybe. But, anyways, uh, my mom was my dad's caretaker. He got early onset Alzheimer's. So, he is in his late 60s, might have been 70 at this time, but I don't think so. And my dad and my mom and I are in a doctor's office waiting for the doctor to come in, and she's taking care of my dad. And my dad has not always been an easy person to take care of, but she's lovingly cared for him for a long time now. And then the doctor comes in, and he a little bit of small talk, of course, and then he says, "Dorothy, I think you have early onset Alzheimer's too." And mom, she had a rosary and her handkerchief in her hands, and she buried her face in her hands for just a few seconds, not more than 10 or 20 at the most. And she looks up and she looks the doctor right in the eye and says, "Okay, now what do we do?" All right, in that short story, there's a couple of keys here. So, my mom, one, she loved people. She loved people who weren't necessarily easy to love. She was taking care of my dad, and my dad had had one problem or another since his late 50s, and it was difficult. And she never stopped taking care of my dad. She loved people. If you want to thrive in life, you have to love people. And if your business wants to thrive, it has to love people too. And you as a leader have to love people. It's part and parcel to the human success. Okay? Then the next thing. My mom finds out she has early onset Alzheimer's, and she's sitting beside the person she's been taking care of for a few years now who also has early onset Alzheimer's. And she puts her face in her handkerchief for 10 or 20 seconds and looks up. First, she went to that doctor willingly. She faced the truth. Second key, you've got to face the truth. She sought it out. As a human being or as a business, we have to seek, face, and deal with the truth. If we don't face the truth, everything we do after that's going to be a lie. We just have to face the truth. And I've seen it done in businesses multiple times. People won't they'll look at their financial records and just won't believe what is happening. They just ignore it. You can't do that. You have to face the truth. You have to make the hard decisions. You have to, most of the time, I love a guy, there's an author named Donald Miller, and he says somebody told him, so I'm not stealing anything from him, but wow, what a great quote. He says, "Do not allow yourself to be confused." Most of the time, when you're confused, you're adding fluff to what you already know to be true, and you're making it confusing so you can avoid facing the truth. That's the second key. Third key, my mom puts her face in her hands for a little bit, looks up. She doesn't feel sorry for herself. She, she wasn't a victim. She won't allow herself to act like or be treated like a victim. You see, if you fall into the idea of saying you're a victim, well then you abdicate all the responsibility for things that you can do. And you don't want to do that. And as a business either, don't make excuses. Don't be the victim. It's never good. And I wouldn't encourage anyone else to be the victim. All right? Don't do it. Next truth. She looks the doctor square in the eyes and says, "What do we do now?" Take action. I think it was Patton who said a good plan executed today with violence will beat a perfect plan executed tomorrow every time. All right. It is far better to make a wrong decision in a timely manner than make the right decision way late. At least when you make a wrong decision and you do something, you can discover that it's wrong and change your course. When you Just don't decide. When you don't take action, everything grinds to a halt, and in effect, you are deciding. Have a strong bias for action. So now, if you go on, my mom spent a lot of time in different assisted living centers and nursing homes. And, you know, I would ask her to dance in the activity center with everybody there and my terrible singing, and she said yes. And you ask her to go for ice cream, and she would say yes. Well, sometimes she would say yes 3 times a day because she had 13 kids who would take her places. So she's going to get a lot of ice cream because she loved ice cream. And they would ask her if she wanted to help fold clothes. She would say yes. And they would ask her if she wanted to play cards, and she would say yes. Here's the thing. When someone asks you to dance and you like to dance, say yes. I'm not saying you say yes to everything. We probably have to get much, much better at saying no to all the things we don't really want to do or don't fit our plan. But when you get a chance to say yes to something you want to do, say yes. Um, the other thing is play the hand you're dealt. You know, my mom's years from when she found out she had Alzheimer's to when she passed away, I'll venture to say they were the best years of her life. She lived in nursing homes and she was happy. She played the hand she was dealt wonderfully. Didn't complain, didn't sit around and wonder. She got it done. She just, she played the hand she was dealt. You got to play the hand you're dealt, okay? Um, she lived with a purpose. My mom's purpose, obviously, in life, though I doubt ever she would state it sometime, but in the manner of, it's my job to do the best I can with the situation God put me in. So, and that was her driving force, was to do the best she could in the situation she was in. And again, I guess that's a lot like playing the hand you're dealt, but that was her purpose, and it gave meaning to everything she did, even when a lot of people would have seen it as meaningless. And then I'll tell you one more story because I think this is a biggie. So my mom is getting on in years, and I was fortunate. I lived very close to the nursing home she was in, and I stopped by 4 times a week, literally for years, maybe 5 some weeks, 3 another, but I'm sure I averaged 4. And I had this thing where every day before we left, my mom loved to dance, so I would get her up out of the chair and I'd take her in my arms and I would dance and I would sing out loud so that everybody in the activity center, if they wanted to sing along, could sing along, even though I sang terrible. I would sing, "Could I have this dance for the rest of my life?" and so on. I'm not going to make you listen to more of me. But this went on for a long time. I was the staff, everybody was quite fond of it because it literally went on for years. And one day, I danced with my mom just like I had always done, and it was a winter day, and I put on my overcoat and put on my hat, and I started walking down the long hall to leave there, and I heard my mom say to the aide, "Who was that young man I danced with?" And the aide ignored my mom, and she runs down the hall because she saw that I had heard it, and I turned around and the aide said, "Dan, are you okay?" And for some reason, I was great. And I said, my mom is in her 80s. She danced with someone she didn't know. I think that's pretty cool. What's to be sad about? But the real point is, and this is the last one of the actions, is my mom refused to let fear make her decisions for her. Don't be afraid. All too often people are let fear decide. So many people in her situation, not knowing where she was and not knowing who she with, would have been afraid to say yes to dancing with a young man she didn't know. And I wasn't so young then anymore, but still. Don't be afraid. Okay, so those are my actions for thriving. And I hope you enjoyed the little stories about my mom. I have a much, much, much longer version of that, but who wants to listen to me talk for 20 minutes, right? Thank you.